Good morning, everyone. So we wanted to open with a little song to recognize Hanukkah, which started on Thursday at sundown, and tonight will be the fourth day of Hanukkah. We always like to recognize that, and this is a really fun song. So just join us, even if you don't know it, but you may know it because we do it every year. Do, 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 do. Save Yvonne, turn, 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 while the lovely candles burn. What a joyous holiday! Watch us sing and watch us sing. Tell the story everywhere. A great miracle happened there. It's a golden festival of light. For 8 days and for 8 nights. Spin, little dreidel, spin, spin, spin. Hanukkah is a time of joy. Great is the miracle that happened there. Spin, little dreidel, spin, spin, spin. Tell the story everywhere. A great miracle happened there. It's a golden festival of light. For 8 days and for 8 nights. Yeah, great singing.
Good morning, everyone. As Satisha mentioned, tonight would be the fourth night of Hanukkah, and we always like to do something to honor that. And as residence on staff Jew, that honor always befalls on me, which is just fine. But I always like to give just a really short, brief history of what Hanukkah is, where it started, and what the whole ceremony of lighting the candles means. So about 200 years ago, about 200 BC, in the city of Judea, which is in modern-day Israel, it was ruled at the time by a Syrian king named Antiochus IV, and he was not a benevolent ruler. He had outlawed not only Judaism, but all other religions outside of the gods he personally followed. And the Jewish people didn't like that very much, not at all, in fact. So over time, dissent and anger built up, and people started to rebel, and a bunch of, started seeing some groups called, like guerrilla rebel groups formed, and one of those groups was called the Maccabees, and they fought back for 2 years. It was violent, it was awful, but eventually they did take the city of Judea back, and more specifically their temple. But once they got back to their temple, they found it desecrated. Their main menorah was destroyed, and there was false idols all around their sanctuary. So they decided it was time to rededicate the temple and get it back right with God. And the first thing they had to do that was get their menorah burning all day and all night. All right, well, to do that, they used pure olive oil. And when they got in there, this is where the part most of you have heard, when they got in there, they only had enough oil for about a day or two, but certainly not long enough to get the temple going and keep the menorah burning long enough so that they could get more olive oil and sanctify their space. So as the story goes, they had enough for 1 or 2 days, but it lasted for 8 days, which was long enough for them to procure more and make more and keep on going and keep their own holy space. So that's why we have the menorah candles, why there's 8 candles, 1 for each day. The first night you do 1, the second night 2, and so on through the 8 days. And the 9th candle is called the shamash, and that's the one used to light all the candles, and that candle represents God. So here is the prayer that we say while we're lighting the candles each night. It's in Hebrew. Baru atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Hanukkah, which roughly translates to, "Blessed are you, our God, ruler of the universe, who made us holy through your commandments and commanded us to kindle these Hanukkah lights." Thank you very much and have a happy Hanukkah.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Boulder. And I have a number of announcements for you today. Just want to let you know that we are an all-inclusive community. We believe that everyone is part of this divine intelligence and love we recognize to be God. And that's what we're here celebrating all the time. But if you really want to celebrate with us, we're having our special Christmas anthology on December 24th at 6 p.m. You'll only be able to watch this on live stream. And if you want to watch it at 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve on live stream, you have to go to unityofboulder.com/streaming. unityofboulder.com/streaming to watch the Christmas Eve anthology at 6 p.m. Every year we do a Christmas drive for those people who are the most in need, especially this year with the COVID-19 desecration. It has really done a number on the Native Americans up in Wounded Knee Reservation. And every year we do a Christmas drive for them. Every year we have a tree with tags on it that have the name and age of a child that somebody can buy a present for. You can pick up one of these tags and drop the present off here, and we'll deliver it when the truck goes up this next Sunday. So if you want to come in, the tree is right in our front lobby. You can take a tag off the tree and you can create a present. Go buy a present for some child, that age, that gender, and bring the present to the church. However, if you can't get here and you'd still like to do that, to buy a present for a child, you can call the church during the week. So all week you could come in, but you can also call Heather during the week. She'll give you the name and age of a child to buy a present for. We really appreciate that. Also, every year we provide food, lots of food for all of the people on that reservation up in South Dakota. And this year we need turkeys. We need a lot of turkeys. They're going to need about 25 turkeys. But don't deliver the turkeys here until Sunday. We'll be looking to pick them up Sunday. You can just drive up with your car. We'll take your turkeys on Sunday because we're going to be sending the truck up on Sunday. They also need eggs, boxes of eggs. So if you want to deliver eggs, bring them on Sunday only. The other food you can bring anytime during the week. And we're talking about canned fruit, yams, cranberries, etc. Anything to go with a turkey dinner. So we would appreciate anything you'd like to give. The truck is being loaded after the second service next Sunday. If you'd like to help us load the truck, just wear jeans, come to the service. We're all going to load the truck and send it off to Wounded Knee. Thank you again for being so responsive and taking care of all the things that we need here at Unity of Boulder.
Good morning, Unity. Oh, it's such a blessed gift to see you guys out here. It's the Christmas season. Yes, it is. So we've prepared a few songs you might know, and I'd love it if you'd like to sing along. Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, Snows glistening, a beautiful sight. We're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the new bird, here to stay is the bluebird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? We'll say, no, man, but you can do the job when you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we've made, walking in a winter wonderland. I think you might know this one. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the tree tops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. Oh, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. Okay, this is a sing-along, so I'm hoping you're gonna sing along with me. Do not be afraid to get up and dance. I want to see a little shake, because it's merriment. It's the Christmas season. Let's have a little fun, you guys. All right, you ready? I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know. You got this. Where the tree tops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. Oh, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. Oh, you guys, thank you. Thank you for standing. I'm so blessed. We're all so blessed to be a part of this church. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Thank you, Dinah and band and April Joy and Mike for the prayer. Wonderful way to start. I think we could just sit here and just listen to beautiful music the whole hour, but I'll tell you that one of the best songs that's going to happen today is happening at the offering. It's one of my favorite Christmas songs, and Dinah will be performing for that. So for those of you on live stream, hang around because there's a lot more coming. All right, so today's talk is Now is the Time. And I've been reading all sorts of different books about Jesus lately just because, it's the season for that. I don't read the Bible that often. I tend to read New Thought books and things like that of nature. But in the month of making sermons about Jesus, it's just wonderful to recite the Bible and see all the many miracles that he worked. And I wanted to talk about those Christmas miracles, and not just as far as historical miracles, but from the standpoint that we can create those miracles in our own lives. But people thought Jesus didn't respect the old laws because he fulfilled it so easily. And he did such amazing things. Sight was restored to the blind. Hungry multitudes were miraculously fed. Even the dead were brought back to life. Everywhere he went, he left a trail of puzzling miracles in his wake. But when we face situations that we don't know how to overturn or how to change, we're told in the Bible how to do so. And in Matthew 6:6, it says, "When you pray, go into your room and shut the door and pray to your father, mother." I added the mother part, of course, "who's in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you." When you pray, go into your room and shut the door and pray to your father, mother, who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Your room signifies the inmost recesses of your being. It is sometimes referred to as the upper room or chamber. And the psalmist poetically calls this inner sanctuary the secret place of the Most High. It is here that we become aware of our oneness with God. As we enter the inner chamber by opening our consciousness to him, our minds are closed to worldly considerations, having shut the door to them. Frequently, the mind is so filled with outer interests, it is difficult to release them and think of God. If persistent, we learn the secret of spiritual concentration and abide in the secret place. The prayer that we then make is in connection with the rules of prayer. And we may rest in the promise that your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Your Father who sees in secret will reward you. I think it's interesting because, you meet people that want to make a big display when they say their prayers. Have you ever been around that when they're at dinner and they do such a bigger prayer? It's so much more important than your quiet prayer while you're sitting there saying grace in your own mind or in your own heart, but they just want to make sure that the whole restaurant knows that they're saying thank you in a bigger way than others. But the Bible's constantly saying it's within you. It's your prayer between you and Spirit. It's not a show to show others that you are more connected to God than someone else. I notice that when I have conversations with some Christians, and all they want to do is throw their Bible quotes at you. They just want to show you that they have the history of the Bible so clearly, and they know exactly what it is, and they want to show the intellectual side of the Bible. And I often wonder if they get what the passages mean through them. Have they been internalized? Is it about the intellect, this journey, or is it about coming into a greater understanding of our deep spiritual connection with this greater something, this greater love we call God? Sometimes it takes time to take that time out and stop telling others of the discord that is appearing in your life. Walking in nature, finding a holy place, or simply sit down where you are and hold the prayerful intention for results to come from your heavenly Mother, Father. It's that quiet place of holding that which is no longer serving your life and being in a prayerful place. Sometimes we feel more comfortable with being with others and needed to kind of gripe it out and talk it out, But we don't get the results the same way as when we sit in the silence and something is percolating in us, and it might be some bad news that we just got that day, or it might be a long-lasting thing of a relationship that's not serving, or whatever it is that's bringing a sense of disconnection with Spirit, to sit and hold in reverence that all things can be healed through a relationship with Spirit. And going out to the world and thinking things of the world are going to fix it will never, ever fix it. So the Lord's Prayer is one of the prayers that many of us use when we're trying to get answers of difficulties in our life. This is the mighty prayer, familiar to every Christian, becomes the vital part of our prayer life when our understanding of it deepens. And this is the breakdown of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, the one life that all share, who art in heaven, which is the spiritual realm. Thy kingdom come, which means the wholeness of thy Spirit be manifested. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Thy perfect will come into expression on the plane of manifestation, earth as it is on the spiritual heights. Give us this day our daily bread, all that is necessary to sustain life spiritually, mentally, and physically. And forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. Which means, as we forgive others, the trespasses against us, we are forgiven. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. This is perhaps the least understood portion of the prayer. God, who is perfect good, could never bring or lead or leave us in temptation, but it is undoubtedly true that we are tested. The portion of the prayer asks that we may be delivered from the seeming powers of evil, which we know in unity is error. Evil is just error thinking. It's just wrong thinking. It's missing the mark is what evil is. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever, which means is our recognition that God is the giver of all good. And we acknowledge this power, I would rather say. Amen. So it is our acceptance in faith that this prayer that we are praying from is already healed. I was in my 12-year-old daughter's room. Actually, she just turned 13 on Friday. And my other daughter turned 24 on Thursday. So I have two Sagittarius daughters, and I've had a very busy week entertaining them. And with COVID, I don't know if you've tried to put on birthdays, but it's super, super hard to make anything special. And a 13th birthday is kind of a big deal. And I have been having a little bit of a rough go with her lately. She's definitely come into her teenage years before her time and before I'm ready. So I was in her room and I was cleansing it and saging her room and cleaning it and just organizing it and just being in the presence of her energy while she was at her father's house. I was hanging her clothes and hanging all the clothes that I'd already folded that she had tried on and just laid all over the floor and didn't really care that they were clean and should have been rehung up. You know, just having one of those mom moments of, I feel so respected right now. And I'm standing at the closet, and I've always had this connection between my daughter Katya, who's just turned 13, and my grandmother, who was my dad's mother. Because when Katya was 2 years old, she was standing in the hallway of our bookstore. And my dad walked by her, which he loved her. She was the most cherub, curly-haired baby. And she said to me, she goes, "Isn't he just the most handsome man?" About my dad, you know, this older man that little kids shouldn't be looking at like that's the most, and isn't he just the most handsome man? And I always felt this connection between her and my grandmother. And I actually wanted to name her Charlotte after my grandmother, and that I didn't win that. I pulled the short straw on that one, so it didn't happen, but I've always felt this connection. And so I was standing at her closet, and I had my Pandora playing. And all of a sudden, this song came on my stereo, and it was Joni Mitchell. And it was the song Both Sides Now, which was a song my grandma loved. And I felt this sense of this warm embrace just hug me as I stared at her closet. So I was in prayer, trying to figure out how to overcome whatever things are between us. And I was listening to the song, and I was like, wow, it's like I never really listened to the words of the song before. And these are some of the lyrics that were being sung. Rows and flows of angel hair, and ice cream castles in the air, and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way. But now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's clouds' illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. And that's so how I felt. It was like, I've raised a daughter to 23 years old, but I don't know anything about parenting. Like that sense that you think you know something. Like life has given you finally a pathway of how you do everything. But it doesn't work that way. I got the pathway for that child, at least to this point, so far successful. For my 14-year-old son, I think I'm so far pretty successful. And now I'm standing here going, I don't actually understand clouds or daughters at all. But the most substantial moment was the feeling of that song coming on and that knowing that my grandma was there. And I don't question those things. Like, that's really what I want to talk about in this sermon, is how Spirit shows up. And sometimes we just question, well, maybe that was just in my mind, or maybe that was just a coincidence. It's not like I actually don't ever listen to Joni Mitchell. The fact that my daughter sang it last week was so her, and I knew I just had a visit. And Edgar Cayce says, if you have a vivid experience of a deceased loved one showing up in a moment, don't automatically dismiss it as a figment of your imagination. It may be him or her trying to comfort and communicate with you, reminding you that they have never left you, which is a super comforting feeling, you know. And for me, I always am looking for the symbols and the signs of Spirit showing up as things show up in life. And if you decided to sign up and get married and have careers and have children and all these things, then you are going to have struggles. And you're going to need that prayer a lot. But then I got this wisping idea. You know, I got this sense of childlike wonder. Like, I just have to remind her that she's a child and she doesn't have to grow up so fast. She doesn't have to have everything figured out. You know, the teenagers, they want to race to be an adult. And then, there's that point where you get to 16, you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe I want to be a kid again. You know, but you can't tell them that. They won't listen to a word you say that's like, slow down. There's so much to cherish in not knowing everything. And just letting your mom and dad have the lead and have you protected and have you have everything that you need. You don't have to dictate and demand how life works out. It's quite a magical time because we don't really have that again until we surrender to Spirit. When we grow up and we've hit enough hard knocks to surrender to Spirit. So this big package had come for Christmas, and I'm not going to say who it was for because I'm sure my kids could watch this sermon, but there was nowhere I could hide it in my house. It was too big. I always hide all the gifts, and then I wrap them so that they all appear on Christmas morning, so it's super magical. Like, there's nothing under the tree till literally that morning. But there's nowhere I could put it. So I decided to decorate or wrap this gift that's this big. Super beautiful, like super crazy beautiful. And put it by the tree, and I put a big name stamp on it, and it says to, and there's nothing there. And it just says, from Mom and Mike. And I just was giggling about the thought of it because I know my daughter. She's just the most curious kid on the planet and cannot wait for anything. She has to know what it is right now. And she came home from her dad's house, and she was sniffing around that box. She was like, well, what is it? I'm like, I don't know. Well, what if it's not for me? And I'm like, I don't know, And we had so much fun around this box, and it's still there, totally torturing her. And it's kind of like this kind of passive-aggressive loving thing that I'm doing. We are all teenagers at the heart. But it's been more fun, actually. It's really been a silly, playful, fun thing that's sitting there. And that happened after I got that embrace from my grandmother. It was like, stop taking this all so seriously. This is just temporary. This is a temporary time. Just stay your playful self, stay your playful course, and it will find its way, right? Paul said in the Bible, stir up the gift of God which is in thee. And really, wasn't that the true mission of Jesus? To help all people to discover the light energy within themselves and to let it shine? There are reserves of light within you, but they must be discovered and released. People thought Jesus destroyed the old law because he fulfilled it so easily. And this is how I started the service. And he did such amazing things. Again, sight was restored to the blind. Hungry multitudes were miraculously fed. Even the dead were brought back to life. Everywhere he went, he left a trail of puzzling miracles in his wake. But miracles are miracles only because we do not understand the process involved. The dictionary defines the word miracle as an effect in the physical world which surpasses all known human or natural powers and is therefore ascribed to supernatural agencies. Actually, Jesus did not do anything that had not been foretold by the prophets of old. However, he accepted the prophetic vision and declared, now is the time. He accepted the prophetic vision and declared, now is the time. He proclaimed that the truth should set all people free from bondage to sickness or poverty. He knew that the reason people were not demonstrating the possibilities promised by their prophets was not that God was withholding, but because they were not keeping the spirit of the law. Jesus knew that people measure their possibilities by their past experience rather than by their innate potentiality. So we lean on those past experiences, and we may have really good, deep roots in the things we've learned in past experience, and I think we probably have a little bit of all of it. We have great, deep roots in certain areas that we've really focused and built our manifestation powers or our healing powers or our forgiving powers, but there's some areas that we're still frail, and we still find limitations. And so we aren't claiming that now is the time, that prophetic vision. Now is the time. He accepted the prophetic vision and declared, now is the time. What does that mean to you? So now is the time to demonstrate your innate potential. So where would you like to fill in that blank? If now is the time. Declaring your innate potential. This is the season for making miracles happen. It's the birth of Christ within us. Why not make this the Christmas to remember? After embarking on the 2020 journey of surrender, how about claiming this time for your moment of reckoning and putting to action all you have learned about your divinity with this greater power we call God? So we bring from invisibility into visibility. That can mean so many things. The things you don't believe that you can actually overcome, what you think are from the invisible can actually become the visible. That means your financial situation can change and be from manifestation in abundance. It means your relationship that feels like it's failing can actually be healed and come into wholeness and love. if you believe in your innate potential. If you believe that you can change that which you are looking at and feeling very disgruntled. When we choose to ignore the natural laws of the universe, we do not need to be reminded that very often, because we will experience struggle, resistance, unfulfilled destiny, pain, lack of direction, etc. It has always been in the nature of humanity to believe mostly in the things we can see, feel, taste, hear, or touch, while doubting anything else that is beyond the perception of our immediate curiosity is the first step down the path of awakening. You know, they always say the most spiritual words for God is I am. I am, because we can place ourselves in the feeling of I am healed. I am whole. I am happy. I am fulfilled. I'm at peace. But you know what? Two other little words that can really change your life? I wonder. I wonder. It sparks that curiosity that we're not stuck in this linear direction that we can't change. I wonder if this thing got out of my way, what it would feel like to have all these things that I'm wishing for when they are already innately mine. It's just that my mind is keeping me from it. Because somewhere I have a cut in me that taught me that I'm less than perfect, or I'm less than whole. And so I lean into that less than whole part of me, and so I keep demonstrating that I'm unable to connect to that innate potential that shifts everything. And that's a matter of also leaning into that place of I am not whole, or the place that we got the cut, and feeling that and recognizing where it comes from, because when we isolate and we stay away from it, it drives its own experience for you, and it keeps recreating all of the lack outcomes that you're experiencing because it has a form of its own until you face it. And I'm like, who told me that? Who took my power away from me? Why do I want to believe this about myself anymore? Why do I want to live from a place that's broken? When Jesus is saying you have to just tune into this greater power. You have to go into your room or to the higher rooms, which is the higher state of consciousness. And when you're in that higher state of consciousness, go into those broken places and heal it. Affirm your healing, affirm your beauty, affirm your health, affirm your love, affirm your goodness, affirm your powerful qualities. And let that anchor fall off of you and feel the freedom of God through you. It has always been in the nature of humanity to believe mostly in the things we can see, feel, taste, hear, or touch, while doubting anything else that is beyond the perception of our immediate curiosity. It is the first step down the path of awakening. When we stop being curious, we dam up the possibility of a new age, a new creation, or dreaming a new world into being. And that's where the I wonder. Because your life is supposed to feel good to you. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived, and a source of continuous revelation. So, even though I find myself standing at my daughter's closet, discouraged as all get out, even though I meditate, and I do my Nia, and I do all my practices, something else is being birthed in me. It's a time for something else to be revealed unto myself. There's nothing that happens for no reason. It all has a divine purpose. And I'm finding more and more of myself that's having to show up to something and somewhere where I have abandonment issues. And she's triggering that. And I don't know exactly what it is and where it's coming from, but I know it's that in the last 24 hours. See, that's the powerful thing, is that she's not trying to hurt me. I am making these interactions become what they are because I'm believing that I am not good enough somewhere. Does anybody relate with that? Yeah? Yeah. And parenting super does that in the teenage years. Super is lame, to be honest. I got through with Arinia, and she was so good. She's such a sweet girl. I'd never had any of this, but you know what? I couldn't have handled it with her. I wasn't developed enough in my consciousness to have her be what I'm facing right now, because my little girl is my teacher right now. She's going to make me so much better than I already am. It just might do a little bit more crying through the process. In Agartha, page 141, it says this: moving forward, following the path of the star is each person's inalienable right. Call it divine destiny. While there is choice as to the specifics that will fill each life, there is no choice as to whether one will or will not ultimately progress. All energy moves forward toward perfection and completion, and therefore life as it is known to each moves forward, allowing the opportunity for mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual experiences to shatter personal illusion by seeing the reality of the total being. It is, after all, not each soul's choice to begin this process of personal evolution, but God's. Each elemental energy is like a sponge placed in a puddle of ink, consciously and superconsciously absorbing all things. Yet where is the conscious memory of the motion that placed each in the puddle in the beginning? It often appears as only a vague sense of connectedness, slipping in and out of the cloud cover of physical life, pulling each in spite of himself or herself toward the inevitable union with God. So it's like, oh no, here's another tide I have to overcome. Oh no, here's another limitation that I have to face. But in the end, it's moving you forward to more and more of a union with God. This powerful co-creator that brings the abundance to our life, that brings the lovers to our life, that brings the joy to our life, that brings us to the creative work, to the jobs we want, all of the above. And our broken, fragmented selves does not manifest. So we have to heal oneself in order for the birth of Christ within us to blaze out as the majesty that we truly are at the core of our being. So the question is, how do you navigate the journey inside you? Curiosity is the first step down the path of awakening. So if there's anything that I would love you to leave with is, what if? What if you just did a day of what if and journal it? Right? And then start writing affirmation statements of them already coming to you, because God already knows what you want before you even ask. But you just have to get clear what it is that you want. And a lot of times we're putting out to the universe what we don't want, and the universe is giving it to us. So what if? What if I got that hot guy that works at the deli and he seems to flirt with me, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm pretty enough for all the things that we do. What if you want to get the career that you have the education for, but you keep saying, oh, everybody's too young, all the young people are getting the jobs, and you keep discussing that you are out of the realm of being abundant for that particular career. We always can find ways to talk ourselves out of our divinity with God. But it takes curiosity. What if your story is BS? Life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived, and a source of continuous revelation. So get excited. Continuous revelation means there's a surprise around the corner constantly. Get in a position of like, I can't wait to see the good that's going to come from all of this. Even if you say it sarcastically at first, I understand. We always do that in our prosperity class. We say, when something's difficult, I just can't wait to see the good that's going to come from this. But just even joking about it eventually becomes loving. I can't wait to see the good that's going to come from this. I know I'm in a growing spell right now. My good has not left me. This is just that 2020 year of surrender. It's also the 2020 where the whole world is growing. It's separating, and then it's going to come back together. And we get to observe the miracle that's going to come. Again, we can't wait to see the good that's going to come from all of this. It's that positive outlook. It's that positive default that we lean into that instead of talking to the devastation. It is the being alone that allows us to go within. It is important when we start on this path to enlightenment to understand the need for space for just sitting and going within. To create the space for connection, to see what is crying out to be released as not being part of your authentic self anymore. To regenerate and renew the pieces of you that are no longer a part of your social conditioning. You get to choose what you want to keep from the past and what you want to let go. And then you get to open up to the vision of what you want in this next moment when you leave church, in the next hour, in the next day, in the next 6 months, in the next year. And you can hold that vision. What is 2021? What are you going to bring from your 2020 surrender? What has been being birthed through you that is ready to be an out-picturing experience? In the Vortex that's written by Esther and Jerry Hicks, it says, your life is supposed to feel good to you. Before your birth, you knew that the primary component of your physical experience that would offer the greatest value for your personal and collective expansion and joy would be the component of the relationship you would experience with each other. It was your plan to relish the diversity of your relationships and to choose from them the details that would make up your creations, and here you are. In Luke, it says, being asked by the Pharisees when the kingdom of God would come, he answered them, the kingdom of God is not coming in ways that can be observed, nor will they say, look, here it is, or there. For behold, the kingdom of God is in the midst of you. And so it is. Amen.
All right, so Santisha just revealed to you that she's facing some challenges with her teenage daughter. And Norma and I, having raised Santisha through her teenage years, we'd like to tell you that she deserves everything she gets. So we're going to take an offering for unity now. And while we're doing this, we should really take a moment to contemplate how beautiful it is for us to be at this point in our process of evolution, where we're listening to these truths, these mind-changing, life-changing truths being shared. And that's what unity is all about. It's not about some distant heaven, some distant God, some distant day when you get there. Right now, we're moving into the consciousness divine, and it's going to make life truly worth living. So what more could we ask? This is amazing, and it's wonderful, and so beautifully related by Santisha every Sunday. So with that in mind, I'd like to ask you to bring to mind what it is you'd like to give, what financial gift you'd like to make to Unity of Boulder to keep this ministry going, because it's not just the Sunday services or the classes or the counseling or the things that we do all week. It's about, spreading the truth of God in our present personage. Bring to mind what it is you'd like to give. We have a basket in the lobby if you'd like to make a physical donation of some kind. And those of you at home watching this on the screen, just bring to mind what it is you'd like to give, and you can tune in and you can give to Unity in any of these ways up here on the screen. So let's do that now, and let's bless this offering this way. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. Amen.
All right, well, that concludes our service, and we have one more of these Sunday services where we're going to have great artists next Sunday as well. We want to rise, and we'll close with our release and I let go. I release and I let go. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my
partners, if you would like to share a prayer with someone, you're facing a particular challenge, just remain seated while everyone else files out. One of our prayer partners will come over and lead you down to our beautiful meditation room and share a prayer with you.